Hey, what's up? Welcome to the Brotherly Gist, an Afrocentric podcast where we will dive into a broad range of topics, including relationships, sexuality, careers, and parenthood. Without any further ado, let's get into this week's episode. Hey guys, I just thought to make an important disclaimer before we jump into this week's episode, which is that due to COVID-19 restrictions, the guest and I were unable to be in the same room to record this particular conversation. As a result, we've had to resort to the web platform. And if you do experience any poor sound quality during the episode, please keep in mind that this is as a result of the web platform that was chosen to record this particular conversation. We trust that you will still enjoy the contents of the conversation and that the overall show will still be great for your listening pleasure. Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the Brotherly Gist. Coming at you with another episode today. So I'm really excited about today's episode. You know, I've got a special friend of mine on this episode. Me and this guy date back for almost 20 years now. You know, we've been brothers, we've been friends. He's my guy in that sense, and I decided to bring him on. You know, to talk about a topic that, to be honest, has been overdone. You know, if we're being frank, you know, the topic of finding love, finding the one has been overdone. But you know, I just feel like maybe the conversation that him and I will have will shed a different perspective on things. You know, give you a bit more insight into the topic. Maybe you'll pick up something that you've never heard before. But without any further ado, let me introduce my guest. He goes by the name of Gideon, the GID. Gideon, welcome to the show, man.
Hey, thank you so much, Mr. Tayo. Thank you for the introduction, and I must say it is a pleasure to, having this chat with you. Thank you so much.
Let's get into it, man. You know, let's give the people what they came here for. You know, like I said in the introduction, you know, I feel like this topic is one that has been, you know, kind of like overdone to some extent. You know, I mean, there's books about it, there's sermons about it. You know, like even the last time I checked, you know, there's a popular sermon by Pastor Mike Todd, you know, this guy in the US, you know, about relationship goals, you know. So it's like it's a big thing, you know, but I just wanted to have like a brotherly chat with you, you know, just to find out your views on it, you know, like your insight, like what's your just general feel about, you know, relationships in 2020, man, because it's definitely not like how, you know, our parents used to do it, you know, back in the days. I mean, now we've got Instagram, we've got, you know, Facebook, we've got, you know, and to some extent it's made men lazy, you know, to take the lead.
Definitely hear you. Yeah.
It's given guys options as well. But you know, what are your thoughts? You know, I kind of feel like maybe it's been outdone, but it's still a very popular topic. Otherwise, you know, we wouldn't be talking about it today.
Yeah. Very interesting question. Thank you for that, by the way. You actually, considering everything you've said, you know, I'll start from the first point you made, or you brought across that in 2020, you know, basically dating in 2020 or relationships in 2020 has changed so much. This is considering, obviously, coming from, you know, way back when the technology hadn't really caught up in terms of how people communicated, and this was obviously affected a lot of things. You mentioned something that it struck a chord with me, that men have become lazy, and
Yeah.
I do certainly agree with that. I think that due to the nature of technology and advancement, and in the way that, in the evolution, actually, in the way that we communicate, it's actually, it's changed the way that people, or even, let's say, from a guy's perspective, from the way guys court women. So the rules of courtship has changed completely.
Yeah.
As you
Yeah.
said,
Yeah.
back then, when our parents used to, communicate, it was, you meant what you said, because you had, you know limited means of how to say, or even, communicating. For example,
Communicating
if,
that. Yeah.
you know yeah, for example, you'd have to meet someone physically, because you would not have any way of communicating with them based on, the technological limitations.
Yeah.
And you'd have to obviously meet with them, have a really deep conversation, say what you needed to say, and obviously say it in such a way that it leaves a lasting impact. Not that the person's just gonna go home and you're gonna text them again and text them again. And over time, that I do agree with you, it does change the way in which people communicate, in terms of the content and what we actually saying to each other,
Yeah.
to
That's true, man.
to have more meaning in what we start to say. So a lot of things has definitely changed in 2020, in how we communicate, how we bring ideas forth, how we even take the time to say certain things. The patience has changed.
Yeah.
um so many things have changed. So definitely in 2020, I could say it's quite a complex sort of, if I may say, like maneuvering. You're maneuvering through quite complex a complex field. It's like a minefield. So yeah, a lot
Yeah,
has
man. Just
changed,
trying to
and yeah,
avoid bombs.
exactly. And trying to do things the right way, but what is the right way anymore? Everything has changed. So yeah, definitely, in that, from your first question, definitely relationships has changed, and how we courtship entirely has changed.
Yeah.
And whether it's for the better or whether it's worse, I'm sure there are advantages and disadvantages. But yeah, we can get into that as the conversation continues. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely feel you, man, and
Mm,
I share in your sentiments as well. I feel like they definitely are, advantages and disadvantages that have come from, can I say, the technological advancements that have been made since
mm,
the time that our
mm, mm,
parents were in relationships, or just how they generally did courtship.
mm,
And I feel
mm,
like, to an extent, it's what's caused this dating problem, or this
mm,
courting problem that
mm,
we seem to find ourselves in. I don't know how it
mm,
was back in the days, but there just seems to be a greater proportion of, like, people that are taking time to settle down, and taking time to find the one. And I feel like, to an
mm,
extent, it's because, with access to the to the internet and to Instagram, you almost feel like you've got a plethora of, like, options. You've got, like, you
mm,
know unlimited access to people in that sense. So it's very
mm,
easy to
mm,
just move from one person to the next. But
mm,
I know you're not a guy like that. I'm certainly not a guy like that as well.
mm,
We both know, for those listening,
definitely.
that don't know you very well, Gideon comes from a Christian background, very similar to mine. Um, and yeah, you could say that we kind of grew up with the same upbringing, and the same sort of, like, morals and outlook on life. So, the
Mm,
traditional things, such as, like, marriage, and settling down, the white picket fence, the
mm,
house with the dog, that's things that have resonated to both, like, him and I. So,
mm,
you know, when it's come to the way we approach dating, or at least for
mm,
me, when I was dating, um, I always try to be
mm,
quite intentional about it. You know, um,
mm, mm.
Fortunately for me, I'm married now, but to get here took quite a quite a
Yeah,
quite a
quite
while.
a quite a
And I
journey.
definitely made a lot
What
of
a journey.
You know
Yeah,
what I
but it
mean?
was
You know, like
beautiful.
Gideon knows
Mm,
it more than anyone else.
mm,
You know, but alas, here I am, you know, happily married to my beautiful wife.
mm,
But you know, that journey is not easy, and you know,
definitely,
it
definitely.
kind of leads me to my next question, Gideon, which is that,
Mm,
you know,
mm,
we always hear of, you know, the woman, you know, looking for her or waiting for her Boaz, and you know, a lot of
mm,
these sermons and you know,
mm,
can I call it books and things that are written are mainly directed towards women, you know, and what they should
mm,
be looking out for, and what they should you know, look
mm,
for in a man, etc., etc.
mm,
You know, very little of it is
definitely.
actually geared towards like us guys,
Mm,
you know. So
mm,
we obviously go back to the Bible because that's the roots. That's where we kind of like get all our knowledge and
mm,
information from, you know. And it's funny because
yeah.
there's a whole, you know, chapter. I like to call it
Mm,
the Proverbs 31 woman. You know,
mm,
the Bible speaks
definitely.
of
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it the perfect woman, but you know, the characteristics
Mm,
that are almost perfect women, you know,
yeah. Yeah.
should possess. So,
Mm,
you know, maybe from your perspective, Gideon, what do you think as a guy in 2020,
mm,
you know, with the
mm,
right intentions, possibly looking to settle down, you know, where does he go
mm,
about finding his Proverbs 31 woman? I mean, you know, is she on
mm.
Instagram? Does he hit the club? You know, like is it in church groups? Is it
Yeah.
cell groups?
Yeah.
Because trust me,
Yeah.
you know, I think I've tried all those options, and you know,
Mm,
very little success. You know,
yeah.
I'll share the story of how I met my wife at a later stage, but yeah, man, like
Mm, mm,
how
mm.
do you, like you said, maneuver this dating game, you know,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
2020 intentionally
Yeah.
as a Christian guy looking for your Proverbs 31 woman?
Okay, that was, I liked how you structured that entire question. You've defined a lot of things that make it a bit easier for me to answer. Firstly, yeah, I'd say let's first define what is the right woman,
Yeah,
I think, in this day and age, as you said, we all come from different backgrounds, different perspectives, and this obviously changes how we perceive the right woman, how we grew up. The role models in our lives really they definitely directly affect
yeah,
how we view the right woman.
mm,
And, some of us, speaking about you and me, and a lot of individuals out there that are going to be listening, I've been blessed with really powerful, noble, really wonderful women in our lives in terms of our mothers, our sisters, who've
yeah,
really helped us, create and define this understanding for the perfect, or rather the Proverbs 31 woman, as you described.
yeah,
So in this regard, for example, when you say Proverbs 31 woman, it comes from, obviously the Bible, where it speaks about, this, as you said, almost completely perfect kind type of woman. You can actually say, or arguably perfect, they speak about her nobility of character, her sacrifice, how
yeah,
her husband perceives her, how the entire community perceives her. She's even her clothing, they speak about her strength, her dignity. She speaks with wisdom. She speaks with, faithful instruction that comes from her tongue. She watches over the affairs of her household. you
right,
know she her children her arise and call her blessed. Her husband calls her blessed. We have this entire really overwhelming sort of understanding, or rather, it's like it's very passionate, and it defines this woman. And I'd argue and say that every guy in his right mind, would want that kind of woman in his life. you know
yeah, definitely,
some
man.
A woman
Like
who
a trophy wife.
basically he can, yes, yes, basically that perfect woman who they can actually say, this is, you know simply put, my best friend. She
Yeah,
understands everything about me. And the most important part, she loves me and she respects me and she accepts me for my faults. And in
Yeah.
my faults, she becomes the strength in my weaknesses. So
Yeah.
when I'm with her, I can be vulnerable, even obviously irrespective of the definition of how that goes against, societal norms in quotes about how a man is supposed to be. But that doesn't really matter in this regard. It's about how the guy feels about being with this perfect Proverbs 31 woman in
Gideon,
in in his
if I can
vulnerable.
pause, if I can
Yes.
pause you there, I
Yeah.
mean, like you raised a very good point about uh,
Mm,
the, the societal standards that men are expected
mm,
to operate in.
mm,
From
mm,
your
mm,
perspective, man, do you feel like maybe the Proverbs 31 woman, I mean, the standards are maybe a
mm,
little bit too high? I mean, like you said, it's almost describing
mm.
the perfect person. And let's say for the
Yeah.
layman who's kind of like trying to find the right girl, does she
Mm.
have to tick all those boxes, or do you think like
So
like
yeah,
what are your thoughts there, man?
yeah. So as we in everything in life, we have sort of the gold standard of what we are trying to achieve, or our goal of where we're trying to be. um you know as obviously we come from Christian background, so we sort
Right.
of striving to have this, we always strive to have this sort of, almost obviously from a human perspective unachievable, some of perfect role model in this perspective. And in your
Yeah.
question in terms of, is this realistic and applicable in this 2020 that we live in? And I feel that, it's a journey. It's a journey that we strive for. And I think, in as from a woman's perspective, as I said, we all come from different backgrounds, different challenges,
Yeah.
and different ideas and ideologies of who we should be in life.
Yeah.
And I definitely feel that every woman has her own journey to go through, same as every man.
Yeah.
And in that journey, sometimes we don't make the right choices to perfect who we're trying to be, obviously, to reach our ideal sort of person, to fully self-actualize in that regard. And every woman has that journey, whether it'll be career based, whether it'll be her peace, in terms of her journey, in terms of how she'll respect herself and feel proud in everything she is becoming, and the peace in her heart. I think that's the most important thing. How does a woman view herself, and how does she feel her journey is going to shape her and change her into being the best woman that she can be, according to her perspective, her judgment, her time. Obviously, from a Christian perspective, we have a standard.
Right.
We all trying to become, more Christ-like in that definition. And Christ-like has its own sort of set of it's, as I said, it's a journey. And yes, Ty, I do agree with you. I feel that in that regard, it can be overwhelming. It can be a bit unrealistic, and obviously, as humans, we do fall short in so many regards.
Yeah.
But that's the whole point of humanity. I think it's the spirit of trying and trying and trying again,
Yeah.
until
And just
you
picking
you
yourself
you
up,
are at
man, and
peace
keep
with.
growing.
Exactly. And if you are at peace with the person you're becoming, if in relating it to your question, if the woman is at peace with the journey she's becoming, I think that's the most important part. If she's becoming more of the Christian um woman that she's meant to be, if she's basically walking into her destiny per se. I know that sounds very cliche, and but
Yeah.
let me not become like a
Walking into
pastor, but
light.
yeah, walking into. So I'm basically breaking destiny down, is that you're doing all that you're meant to do on this earth. Why are you on
Yeah.
this earth for? Discovering your purpose. And I think that's it. Hopefully I've
Yeah.
answered your question.
No,
Yeah.
you did, man. You did,
Mm,
and I fully agree with you. I mean, like, flip. If I was judged at the time, which I probably was, for all
mm,
the
mm,
mistakes that I had made, you know,
mm,
I don't think I would be where I am today. And it's
mm,
important that, you know, I think as a guy, you kind of look past the, can I call it, shortcomings of the woman. The same way, she probably will have to look past certain things
A lot
in
of
you and certain like
yes,
imperfections and shortcomings in you, and together
yes,
you both make yourselves whole, you both grow, you both become like better people. Ultimately, God willing, a happy married couple, but we all know, JID, that's not the way things kind of
That's not
go,
what happens
and
in life. Yeah,
and whilst it's all
yeah,
good and well to say that we shouldn't judge people and we shouldn't you know
mm,
um judge them for the mistakes that they've made and the things that they've done
mm.
wrong.
We
There
do
are
judge.
certain
Yeah.
things that I feel though that
Mm,
are very difficult for a guy to kind of look
mm,
past, or
mm,
or
mm,
deal with.
mm,
I had a conversation with a friend of mine some time back.
mm,
I'm just
mm.
recalling it now, and they
Yeah.
were just speaking about the fact that unfortunately for them, if a woman comes with a child into you know the possible
A
relationship that
relationship.
they're about to
Mm,
pursue, for him
mm,
it doesn't go any further than that. And I
mm,
struck a chord with me because I've been in a situation before, quite frankly, where I've actually deeply liked someone, that had a kid.
mm,
So for me it
mm,
wasn't like a big thing. So when it now
mm,
comes to, let's call it like the non-negotiables, do you think
mm, mm,
there's a consistent like list of non-negotiables that guys should sort of like watch out for, or do you think like it's
yeah.
relative, like it depends on you, what's good with you, because what works for
Yeah.
the what goose doesn't work for the hen, or however however that
Exactly.
saying goes.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah. Definitely.
like
Yeah.
in his case, he didn't want a woman that
Mm.
had a child, but for me, I'm just like, if she
Yes.
has a child, even if she had two,
There you
I'd
go,
still
man.
love her for who
Mm,
she is. If I felt really deeply
mm,
for her, I'll probably
mm.
still pursue something strongly with her. But do you think there's some underlying non-negotiables, or there's some non-negotiables that every guy, or at least every guy trying to date the Christian way, needs to kind of look out for?
Well, yes. So I that's actually like quite it's quite a complex question. But actually, let's simplify it. I think in this regard, I definitely agree with you. It's about relativity. So, as we say, as the saying goes, one man's meat is another man's poison. So
Yeah,
what works for me doesn't work for you, and what works for you doesn't work for me. And it definitely depends upon, obviously, coming from a guy's perspective, it depends upon the guy. There's certain things that are completely non-negotiable to one guy, and they're obviously okay for another. As you said, children is one factor. Another
yeah.
factor could be smoking. One guy could say like, okay,
Yo, man,
I would never.
that's a deal breaker for me, man.
That's a
Look,
non-negotiable. Exactly.
yeah, I don't judge people,
Yeah,
like, and
yeah,
I've smoked the hookah before as well, but I don't know. For me, yeah,
yeah,
cigarettes
exactly.
is a no go.
Is a no go, and also personally for me, cigarettes is one of those things that it would definitely be, as we used to call it, the X factor.
Yeah,
The
yeah,
X
yeah,
factor is, to the viewers, the X factor is exactly what we're talking about. It's that one factor in someone that you say that will completely deter you from ever pursuing anything with that person. So, for example, you know, if the girl doesn't go to church, that could be an X factor for you. If the
yeah.
girl maybe speaks, people are very different. People are weird, from petty to complex. Can someone say she speaks, doesn't speak right, or she doesn't speak English right, or she doesn't say certain words right?
She doesn't have
or
the twang. She doesn't have the
yeah,
twang.
it doesn't have a twang. Some guys, some guys are petty and say, obviously guys, unfortunately or fortunately, whatever, are very, visually
We're picky,
stimulated.
man. Yeah,
They were very picky,
Not
and
the
a
right,
guy would
she's
say,
not the right
let's
height, she's
go.
not the right skin color.
Yeah, not the right height, that's not big enough. For example. And these are the things that obviously, if we get to the really nitty gritty, the things that you can ignore. So
Yeah.
the X factors you cannot ignore. There are things that they are in your face to the person, and you're like,
All the
nah,
time.
nah, nah. And then there's
Yeah,
certain things
they
you can
just
say,
don't sit well
I
with your
can deal with
spirit,
it.
man.
Exactly. So for me, personally, if I say my biggest X factor is pride, you know,
Yeah.
pride for me
Yeah.
completely destroys everything. If I don't even want to think, I don't want to hear anything to do with the person. I feel that
It's a no
pride,
go for you,
it's
bro.
a no go.
It's
Like
not happening.
no, it literally defines so many things in a relationship. Pride, pride literally says that I would rather chew my leg off than apologize or or do anything that will be beneficial to someone else.
Yeah, no.
It's
Pride is
all
tricky,
about self.
man.
Exactly. It's all about self, and it's all about the you and everything that you need, and it's never about the person. It ties into narcissism, so many other things, but we
Yeah.
won't get into that. But yes, so in finalizing your question, yes, there are X factors or non-negotiables that come with, but it definitely depends upon the individual. It's up to you. It's your cross to bear. If you're Gucci with it, ride with it. If
Then go with it, bro.
ride, my bro, ride. But but it's
Nah, I definitely
yeah,
feel you, man.
yeah,
And I don't think it's unfair. I mean, like the listeners can have their own opinion and feel free to comment, but I don't
mm, mm,
feel like it's unfair for people to have certain expectations of their
mm.
partner or their possible,
No,
future partner.
definitely. Mm, mm,
I think it's only normal.
mm,
But I do agree with you where, we have to gauge, is this realistic? Is it not? In some cases, you know,
mm,
the things that they're looking for, the things that are non-negotiable is really like unrealistic, and you're just like, bro, you'll never
mm,
find a woman if that's your
mm,
list, or but like you said, to each their own. These things are relative, and
mm.
at the end of the day, it's your happiness. But let's say now,
Exactly.
like,
Mm-hmm.
you finally kind of met her in the right place. You've kind of
Mm,
sussed her out. You
mm,
guys have been talking for a while. um
mm.
she's kind of ticked the tick boxes in terms of
Yeah,
the non-negotiables or whatever it is, and now you're
yeah.
feeling like prepared or whatever it is. Like, when's the right time to shoot the shot, man? Because girls out
Hey,
here are
yeah,
frustrated, bro. They're just like, this nigga be
yeah,
taking too long, man. He's
eh,
dragging his feet.
yeah.
And for some ladies, they actually feel that, once you start engaging them, once you start chatting with them, you
Mm,
guys are automatically dating. And I think that's a very like
yeah.
dangerous
That's
area that, guys tend to
yes,
find themselves in, because for a
yes.
lot of us, it's almost like an interview process,
Mm,
which I know a
definitely.
lot of women find very controversial, and they
Yeah.
and they don't agree with. You know,
Mm,
they're of the belief that, if you're not interested, don't even step towards me to even
don't
begin with.
even,
But my
don't even.
argument to that
Yes.
is that, yeah,
Yeah.
is that how will I even get to know you? And what if I come across certain things that I don't like, further
Mm,
down the line? Am I now
mm,
not allowed to retreat by the mere fact that, we've actually started this?
mm.
So, like, in your opinion, man, like, when do you think the good time is to actually shoot the shot? Or,
Yeah.
the reverse of that, when is a good time to actually, hit the eject button and bail out without
Yeah.
causing
Hey,
harm,
man.
if that's
Hey,
even
bail.
possible?
Yeah. Abandon ship. So yeah. So great question there. So ooh, this is quite, it's one of those like,
It's controversial,
unfortunate.
my brother. It's
Yeah, it's
controversial.
very controversial.
I've
Okay,
been
let's
I've
deal
been
with the
burned
controversy
so
first.
many times, man. I've been
Yeah,
called all sorts of names. I've been
hey,
I've
me
been
too.
dragged under the bus, quite literally, because
Yeah,
apparently I led people on. Well, let me not say apparently. I
mm,
led people on. Even though it was not my intention. So how
mm,
do you maneuver it, bro? Like, I
yeah.
think that's a tricky spot that a lot of guys find themselves in.
Okay, so let's hit the nail on the head in this one. So basically, I feel okay, from an honest, let's really be honest. I think that's the whole the whole ethos of this whole podcast is just to be real with everyone.
Just to be
And
raw, man. Just to be honest,
exactly.
for sure.
And I think that's the funny thing, Ty. Everyone, I think, does the interview process. I feel that, we all do it, whether it's subconsciously, male, female, we all go through this interview process. I think I've had friends, this is my personal, I've had friends, female friends, who would basically entertain, three, four guys, entertain meaning they're having conversations with these guys, getting to know them.
Yeah.
And even you'll find that she's gone on dates with two or three of them. And that's some
So why
girl.
is it such a taboo when we do it, man? Like
The thing
when
is,
guys
that's the
do it.
thing is, some girls, the other type of girls would, they would actually, they have this sort of sense of exclusivity, meaning that
Right,
they
right.
just have, they have a focus. And it's the same with guys. It's complex. It really depends on the person. And the key is that I do not feel that it is wrong per se to have a conversation with someone and having a conversation with another person at the same time, but meaning it's
So
the
you're not
context.
cheating. You're not cheating.
No, meaning it's the context of how you're actually conversating. So
All right.
obviously in the right space, meaning that you're actually single, right? You're not in any
Yeah.
committed relationship. You're not in that. Okay, let me define this actually very clearly, right?
You're not
It
in a
is okay.
situationship.
Yes. So definitely, I liked how you put it. So the first rule number one, you're not in a situationship, meaning you've not been courting someone directly with the intentions of being with them. And now, because
Yeah.
you're not officially in a relationship, you say, okay, I've seen my X
It's cool
factor,
for
A,
me
B,
to.
C, D. Now I feel, hey, it's time to bail and abandon ship. Let me start to have a conversation with someone else, right? And
Right.
now when you're jumping onto the lifeboat to talk to someone else, you start to see the other good side of this current situationship that you're in, and then you're like, what do I do? Let me play the field. There's no reason for burning bridges at this point in time.
Right.
Let me of course, let me talk to multiple people. I think that's where the deception lies. The key
Yeah.
is here is that as long as there's truth, there's always freedom. And if you have a direct, if you're truthful with someone and say, what, my intentions are A, B, C, and D, right? And at this point in
Yeah.
time, I'm feeling A, B, C, and D. I think that's very great because you can actually simplify things because you've made your decision. The person has the opportunity to make their decision in time. So basically, meaning if you're talking to someone and you not really feeling the same way, being honest about it is hard, but it actually makes things very
It
clear.
helps them, man. It
It
helps
makes
them, and I
things
think
very clear. Yes, yes, yes.
that's where a lot of guys struggle. And I know for me in the
Mm,
past, that's where I've struggled. The
mm.
the courage,
Yeah,
and even the
definitely.
decency, just to be able
Just to
to
be
be honest
straight.
to someone and say, look,
Yes,
I thought this was going to work.
but it's
It's
not.
not
Yeah.
working. I'm not at peace with this.
Mm,
Um, can we
yeah.
just be friends?
Yeah.
But like,
That's a very
what are the
difficult
boundaries?
conversation.
Like, what are the boundaries? Like
Mm,
how do you make sure that you're not, stepping on any toes, or that you walk out of a situation out like that,
yeah.
with
Hey,
minimal damage, because
the
it's very
unfortunate thing
hard.
is
I
that
think it
it's
will be unrealistic to say
mm,
that we can actually come out of it without hurting someone, because
yeah,
the
yeah,
moment you start getting to know someone, I mean, even in our friendships, like if you and I
mm,
had to suddenly stop talking or whatever, you will feel that void.
mm,
So
yes,
I can't even begin to fathom. Well, actually I
mm,
can, because I've been in that situation before, but
mm,
you
mm,
know to start to fathom how it might feel to another person who is now starting to invest their time, their
yes,
emotions, their
yes,
feelings into this thing. Maybe you guys
yeah,
haven't, done anything physically. You haven't,
yeah,
you know, um,
yeah.
crossed the
Nothing's
boundary,
really,
let's
yeah.
say. But
Mm.
you know, how do you play that in a safe zone, in a safe way, without, you know, leading the person on?
That's a tough one. That's a very tough question, Tayo. So my whole perspective of this is that I certainly feel, as I said, honesty is the best policy. But as you said, it's we all have different sensitivities, we have different temperaments, and the
Right.
truth of the matter is, as complex people, different people, completely different backgrounds come into, even just having a conversation, you know, so many things happen. For example, at that point in time, that initial meeting can create a lot of ideas in a guy's head and in a girl's head. In a girl's head,
Yeah.
I can, I can generalize it to say that depending on where the girl is in her life, depending on her journey, she could either be, girls are very, straightforward. They either be, all right, this is just a simple conversation. It's just a normal guy. Is out of my head now. Or it could be like, okay, you know what, very interesting guy. Let me consider what this guy's about to say. Now, moving forward, they get to know each other. And
Right.
obviously, depending on how they've related, Tayo, what the guy has said to this girl. Guys are very they can be very, you can say,
We're
sneaky with
sketchy,
stuff.
bro. Just say it.
Yeah,
We're
sketchy,
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 man.
because he
We
can he
say
can
things
say
to get
certain
what we
things.
want.
Exactly. You can say
Exactly.
certain things to because he has a certain agenda. Now, to
Yeah.
my, to the female, or rather the ladies and women of worth listening to this podcast, I'd say that always determine what the guy's intention is straight from the
Yeah.
beginning.
Right.
So if the
Yeah.
guy,
Yeah. Right from the
obviously,
offset.
whether it's any form of relationship, whether it's friendship, whether it's business based, whether it's, just determine what the person's intentions are at the beginning. Hey, listen, why are you really talking to me in the beginning?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's
What's
hard
your
and it's
deal,
very
bro?
weird, but it really sorts a lot of things out, because in the beginning, the guy will be like, okay, obviously guys are still slick, they'll still give you a lot of uh, wraparound stories. Oh no, I'm just trying to get to know
Marshmallow
you.
answer.
Yeah, marshmallow. I'm just trying to get to know you. I feel that we could be great friends. And obviously, the guy has the intention of, probably. Unfortunately, in the world we live in, there's hit and runs, or grab and smashes, and that's
Yeah.
very. I feel
Yeah.
that is very. It's one of the darkest things you can do to someone, but that's another conversation. But, you know, ladies and guys out there, find out what the person's intentions are at the beginning. Why do you want
Yeah.
to talk to me? And what's the point of this? That's simple.
And
When
be
you get that
be
done,
open minded to it,
be
right? Like,
exactly,
is it okay for a
definitely.
guy to say, "Look, I really find you attractive.
Mm,
I just want to get to know you. Um,
mm,
or I actually just want to sleep with you if that's the guy's intention. Just
yeah,
stating it up
straight
front,
raw.
just so that the other
Yeah,
person just knows, what they're getting themselves into.
yeah. I'd pose a question to you, Tayo. I know you're the host and thing, but I'd say, okay, so
Nah, hit me,
if
bro.
in
Hit me.
that regard, I'd say, what if now a guy now goes to 5 different chicks and says the same thing? Listen, I think you're beautiful. I just want to get to know you. Is that right? Is that wrong? What are your thoughts on that?
Man, it's tricky. It's tricky because, like,
Yeah,
like you said,
yeah,
earlier,
mm,
guys are visually stimulated.
mm,
Like, let's just be real about it. And it's possible to come across more than five attractive women, in
mm,
one day.
mm,
And to our earlier point about, Instagram, or Facebook, or whatever it is that people use. you know
mm,
um you scroll, and your timeline is just flooded with, like,
mm,
pretty
mm,
looking women, and
mm, mm,
assuming that you're single as a
mm,
guy.
mm,
The natural thing, especially under these COVID conditions, will probably,
mm.
be to slide into DMs, have a conversation with her.
Slide into
and
the
and I think,
DMs. Yeah.
and
Hey.
and I think, as human beings, we're inherently selfish, man. Like,
Mm,
and I think it depends on where you find yourself, and at what
mm,
stage in your life you find yourself.
mm.
You know, but
Yeah.
to answer your question, I just realized now I didn't actually answer your question.
Mm,
No, it's not right. But
mm.
it does happen. And let's
Yeah,
not fool
for sure.
ourselves that it doesn't happen. It
Yeah,
does
for
happen.
sure.
It's not right. Um,
Mm, I think there's been a disconnection. Apologies.
That, you know,
Yeah.
they look intentional.
Mm.
You know, they're looking to do this thing the right way. They're looking to fall in love the right way. So I think a guy that's looking to do things the right way wouldn't actually do that. Wouldn't
Mm.
actually, you know,
Yeah,
have
have that. It's
five women that he's
it's as
speaking
you
to
said,
at the
it's
same
a
time.
nobility. It's a nobility of character. I think in the world that we live in today, honor and nobility is so rare. And to have honor means basically doing the right thing when no one's looking. And
Yeah.
you know, having doing the right
Ooh,
thing, meaning that
that's deep, man.
yeah,
That's
like
deep.
doing the right thing when no one's looking. So basically, you know that you're talking to someone already. So what are your intentions with her? If you definitely have no intention with this lady, even though she's beautiful, you need to be honest with that, and you need to actually be disclose that so that you are clear with that relationship, meaning that you've told this girl, okay, we're really gonna be great friends. That's done, close chapter. And so if you're going to pursue something with someone else, then at least you know that you don't have, as you said, strings that obviously we say you have strings attached to, choice A, option B, option C, option D, and then you now start juggling and seeing, okay, option A is winning now because she did this. Option B is losing because
Yeah.
she bombed. She didn't reply or she didn't send me a selfie. Small things like that.
Yeah.
Guys are all sorts of messed
She
up,
did
but
himself.
yeah. So hey, to actually even me, I really didn't exactly answer your question. Answer your question to know when to move forward or to come back. It's really based on your intention with the person, and that really defines your next action. So obviously ideal situation is that you meet a really great person, they're ticking all your boxes, as you said, as you mentioned before, and you're like,
Yeah.
this my intention is actually to marry this person. And so you actively and wholeheartedly pursue that. Unfortunately, in the unideal situation is that could be your intention and life happens, meaning that you meet someone who's not really of the character you thought they were, and you get hurt for
Yeah.
whatever reason. Or um you also decide to bail. This the other side. You say, you know what, this person, the X factors are too many, I can't really take someone with brown teeth, or I'm gonna leave this relationship. I'm gonna bail.
Bounty.
And then you find out that this person, you bail, you abandon ship, and you tell your boys, hey, listen, man, yo, I dodged the bullet there. And then, a year down the line, this lady that you absconded, ends up being, you know, the most magical thing that walked on the earth in your eyes. They they they
Yeah.
they,
Yeah.
they they're doing the
And
things, and you're
guys are
like,
guilty of that.
you're having regrets, and you're like, man, and then you're sitting there with your stupid self, having made a very stupid decision, a very immature decision. We'll get to immaturity in a bit, but the decision to whether stay or go really depends on your maturity of spirit, your intention,
Yeah.
and where you are in life. I feel that those are what define really where to move forward. If everything is right in your life, if your intentions are good and you're mature enough to make a decision, don't waste someone's time, move forward with them. Don't waste someone's time, bail if you don't think they're the one. That's my simple answer.
And that's
Yeah.
nah. I think you're right there, man.
Mm,
And it's like you said.
mm,
Unfortunately, it's much easier said than done.
mhm.
Almost 95% of the time,
Yeah.
we as guys at least find ourselves in too deep.
Hey,
We've often
uh,
maybe crossed the boundary. We've
hey,
said what we weren't supposed to say.
hey.
Now we're trying to pull back on our words. We're trying to
Mm,
pull back on our actions.
yes.
We're trying to do damage control. At that point, it's a little bit too late, man. And
Mm.
it's
'Cause, yeah,
and it's
but you've
heartbreaking
sold
because
dreams,
you
man.
don't
You've been
want to be.
selling dreams.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you've been selling dreams, exactly, and the woman is expecting the house, and
Hey, man.
you know you were building the wrong foundation
Yeah,
to even begin with. So
exactly.
let alone having built a house on that foundation, it's just going to crumble,
Mm,
and
mm,
it's sad, it's unfortunate, but it's the reality that we find ourselves in, and I guess that's why
mm,
we're having this conversation to kind of look at a different way of possibly doing it.
mm,
But maybe in closing,
mm,
like maybe from your side,
mm,
if a guy finds himself now in too deep,
mm,
or even a lady, I mean, like,
mm.
let's not just limit it to the fellas,
Yeah, of
like,
course.
let's
Yeah.
ladies as well, like,
Mm,
if you find yourself in too deep,
mm.
you've done something you weren't supposed to do, you know
Yeah.
that
Mm,
this wasn't supposed to go here.
yeah.
How do you come out of it gracefully? Is it possible to even have a friendship afterwards? And what do you take from that to possibly be better for the next person, not to make that mistake again?
That's a very deep question. I like how you really,
it,
frame your questions very
it,
clearly.
it's the
Really,
reality,
yeah,
it's the reality, man. It's
yeah,
what happens.
exactly, exactly. So, in simple terms, I'm gonna say this, and Drake in one of his songs, he says, the truth hurts. Yeah,
This guy is
like I'm
bringing Drake
quoting
lyrics, yo.
Drake in a podcast. Wow. No, but I'm not really quoting him. I'm trying to debate these words, and it's obviously I come from a Christian perspective, and I just want to let people know that
Right.
this is how you should think about things. That Drake says in his song, he says, truth hurts and them lies heal, and
Yeah.
the sad part about that is that that is where the deception lies. You know,
Hmm.
when you lie
Hmm.
to it's not the fact. It's so let me break it down. It's the truth doesn't hurt. It's the fact that you discovered you've been lied to that hurts. The truth sets you
Yeah.
free. You hear what I'm saying? The
That's
truth
that's hectic.
the truth
Yeah.
sets you free. It's not the lies that heal. You've been lied to, and it was all good, and as I say, ignorance is bliss. But the fact that you discovered that you've been lied to is what hurts, not the truth. The truth
Yeah.
has been distorted. The truth is never celebrated. The truth is never given the pedestal that it should be given. Truth is freedom.
Yeah.
And I think when
It almost comes last
it always
in
comes
every
last. It's like
situation.
okay. Now I'm caught. Everything is the house is burnt down. Okay, I might as well say or confess now, and that's the saddest part.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think
Yeah.
in your question that you framed is that when you find yourself too deep and you want to bail, or you're in a situation whereby you're in a circumstance that you really did not want to, you realize that you actually shouldn't be in the circumstance, whether you're a guy or a girl. To everyone listening, to Tayo, my brother, just be honest, tell the truth, be straight with the person.
Yeah.
I think that's the most liberating experience you'll ever feel in your life, especially if you're someone who's been a pathological liar. Like, a lot of guys,
Yeah.
we're masters at selling dreams. We what they called were wordsmiths. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah.
you know exactly,
Wordsmiths for sure.
lyrical fitness is so high that the guy just knows exactly what to say. And we have this, we have to, as you know, we used to have this joke between us in our crew, Tayo, say whatever happens, deny deny that, deny
Man, we
that.
were we were actually wrong. Yo, guys, to
Yeah,
put it all in context, this
yeah,
is not who we are now. Like,
yeah. Obviously
we're
we've grown
speaking
up,
from
we've
experience.
matured.
This we've grown up, but
Definitely.
we are guilty of the things that we're actually
Yeah,
speaking about. We
yeah.
I've definitely been guilty,
Mm,
of being a wordsmith,
mm,
in my past. It's not something I'm proud of.
definitely. No
I've
one is.
hurt people that I wish I didn't hurt.
Yeah.
But like you said, I mean, you've got to learn and grow from the experience in the end.
Mm. And as you said, it's a maturity of spirit, and obviously, as obviously we've always mentioned this, that is from a Christian background, even from a normal guy background. you grow and mature into the man you're supposed to be. No one wants to stay stagnant. So
Yeah.
you can't keep on
Yeah.
making boyish, unwise decisions and thinking, even in a man, quote unquote, in a man's body, that you don't really understand. If you're going to make adult decisions, then act like an adult. And for me,
Yeah.
this, as you clearly mentioned, that this was things in the past that you matured, that things we did as young guys, things that we regret. And obviously everyone has regrets, everyone is not perfect, but these are the
Yeah.
fundamental things that we learn, and we want to bring forward to other guys who will be listening to this podcast, that you know grow up, be mature,
Yeah.
and start
Yeah.
to learn to love being honorable. Love honor, love
Yeah.
nobility. As men, we need to consistently encourage, and actually, it's like almost aggressively try to instill this ideology of nobility of spirit into all our men. I mean, that is why we have so many unfortunate and really sick cases of gender-based violence that's happening. But that's an entire topic
Yeah.
that needs to
Yeah.
be
Yeah.
really quarantined, and that's like completely destroyed in that regard. And this comes from the whole persona of what a guy thinks he is, and even a
He thinks
woman,
he is, and not what he
not
actually is.
not what he thinks he is, and not what he should be. So as guys, we need
Yeah.
to consistently work on ourselves, grind our personalities, grind our spirits, grind our minds to become and
For
to
sure.
become better, and to not always give ourselves. And we obviously, society gives men excuses, because so many societies, obviously living in Africa, it's a patriarchal society,
Yeah.
and a lot of
Yeah. Every
guys
man does
go
it.
scot-free
Don't.
for
Yeah.
doing the most rubbish things, and being the most
Yeah.
despicable persons, human beings in this earth. They get away with it, and women take the brunt of this. And you know not digressing into so many other things, but coming down to your one thing is that if a guy or if a girl finds themselves in a situation that they definitely do not want to be in, and they definitely feel regret about being in, they've definitely made mistakes, as we've all made mistakes, and we've crossed lines that we shouldn't have crossed, just tell the truth. Remember, the truth doesn't hurt. It's the discovery that you've been lied to that hurts. The truth sets you free. So always stand by the truth. There's strength in vulnerability, and you always need to know that doing the right thing will always result in your freedom. It won't result in your punishment. It might, obviously,
Yeah.
realistically speaking, it's never easy. It's never easy looking someone in the eye and admitting that the superhero that you've projected yourself to be is not true.
It's not true.
You're just some gutter rat from
You're Clark Kent.
your
You're
Clark
Clark
Kent,
Kent without
bro.
the Superman
Clark
cape.
Kent with no muscle,
Without the
with
Superman cape.
bad breath, no cash. You're actually just a normal person, and you have weaknesses and vulnerabilities like everyone else, and you're actually not the
Everyone else.
Superman you projected yourself to be to this lady. You're a human being who lies. You're a human being who has weaknesses, and that's the most, I think, liberating experience to any man, to just be straight honest with someone, and any woman, because obviously we're not trying to say that women don't
It
cheat,
goes both sides. Yeah.
women don't sell dreams. These things happen in the society we live in today. It comes from both sides.
Yeah.
So be straight to the person. um Whoever's listening, don't, like, rejoice in the truth. It always, like, it's hard, it's definitely hard. Whew, I know I've been there a million times, and it's like, as I say, it's like
Yeah.
lancing a boil. It's piercing a boil that has been bothering you for a long time, and once it's done, that's when the healing takes place. But your own healing, um your own mind needs to be first at peace, and I think that's where peace lies for you to move forward in life. So yeah, Taya, I think that's it. Truth, 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 and that's the one thing that will actually make sense. because it'll just
Yeah.
let the person know, let's move forward. Take the good,
Yeah.
reject the bad, learn from everything, and move on. Yeah.
Yo,
Yeah.
man, you know what? I'm actually
Mm.
like dumbfounded right now. You know, like listening
Mm.
to you speak. You know, I almost wish I had this, you know, wisdom imparted on me
Hey,
back
we all
in the
do.
day. You
We
know,
all do.
but
Yeah.
I think, like you said, you know, you learn these things from experience.
Mm.
You know, and like the saying goes, you know, in hindsight, everyone has like what 2020 vision.
Yes.
You know,
Yes.
we all know what we could have done better, but
Mm.
you
Mm.
know, it's not about what we've done.
Mm.
It's about what we are trying to do,
Mm.
what we're trying to become, which is better people, better men.
Mm. Mm.
You know, for society, for our women,
Mm.
for our wives,
Mm.
for our daughters.
Mm.
And yeah, man, I think you wrapped it up beautifully. You wrapped it up
Mm.
perfectly, and I just wanna
Mm.
say thank you, man, and to everyone that listened in, you know, that decided to tune in today.
Mm.
You know, thank you for the time spent with us. Like, I hope it was valuable.
Mm.
You know, like you said in the beginning, it's a topic that has been overdone, but
Mm.
you know, even just listening to the GID, like I like to call him, you know, listening to Gideon now, I definitely took away some, you know, pearls of wisdom that are even applicable to my current situation, you know,
Mm.
where I find myself, which is married, you
Mm.
know, happy, a father, you know, but there's some gems that he dropped that I definitely have not heard before in a previous sermon, in a book, in any other type of medium. And so
Mm.
that's why I think, like, you know, platforms like this are very important. And
Mm.
Gideon, from my side, I just want to say, you know, thank you for coming on, thank you for sharing your wisdom with us.
Hey,
You know,
no, like,
you know, if
yeah.
I don't know, are you open? If people want to reach out to you, are they allowed to reach
Yeah,
out
no,
to you? Are they allowed
please
to DM
do. Like,
you? You know, like, you know,
well,
yeah, guys,
yeah,
he's committed.
yeah. I
You know,
mean,
he's a good guy. You know, but if you need some advice, if you need some wisdom, you know,
mm.
I'm sure he's ready to, you know, to impart some knowledge on you. Gideon, are you open to,
No,
you
no,
know,
no,
people
definitely. I
reaching out to you?
feel, thank you for that. I feel that, in this journey called life, we all need help. There's gonna
Yeah,
be me, for example, for me, I'll speak about you. You've inspired me in so many ways in my entire life, in my journey of life, being with you as a brother. And even this journey of marriage that you're on, and that I've been with you and your wife. It's been, I can say, it's like inspirational is to downplay the majesty of that experience, with you. And I've learned
yeah,
so much from you in that regard. And it could only be from sharing your experiences with me, experiencing it with you right there. And I definitely feel that if anyone needs to, reach out to us, they can definitely reach out. My handle, yeah, my Instagram handle. Hey,
don't worry.
you'll just
I
share
think
all
I'll
that
drop
deep
it in the
information, but
description.
yeah, but in terms of that, I feel we all need help. And yeah, no, thank you
Yeah,
for allowing me to join you on this journey of discovery with you, on this podcast. And yeah, it's been such a pleasure. I've also learned so much from you, from your experiences. We've grown up so much, through by God's
for
grace.
sure.
We've matured a lot, and we've become, men that we can look in the mirror and actually say, I'm proud of this guy. And
So unfortunately, that's all we have time for today, folks. Thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Brotherly Gist. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, leave a comment in the comment section below, give the podcast a good rating, and share it with your friends on social media. Join me next time for another exciting topic and discussion. But until then, take care and God bless.